It is finally over. Thank for God's... Wow. 21 months of this we've had. The Activision deal is finally closed. Boom. Gavel down. They've sold it. It's done. I'm excited for this to be done now. How do you feel, Alice? I should have introduced us. Sorry. My name's Lewis, and this is Alice.
Hi,
Yeah,
and my pronouns are she, they. And I found out the news about the Activision Blizzard deal, and this actually came on today, which I found out for the
yeah,
video sent to me before I get to know what's going to happen. So far, it's now like all over the place. It's a huge thing, and also that
big.
um, it it just means the UK has finally passed a deal. That means that we can finally have the deal accepted, and we can have all kinds of games that's on Game Pass. The only thing is that the cloud streaming rights will be passed over to Ubisoft for 15 years, and
Yeah.
that's the one difference with it. But apart from that, we've finally got Activision Blizzard with Xbox.
Ooh. Yeah. Obviously the live stream thing with Ubisoft, the cloud streaming, is a weird one. I never understood that one, but that's fine. It's done at least. Yeah, they put up a video about 2 hours ago, showing Activision and Xbox working together in harmony and how they're a family and all that. I really liked the video. I thought it was really cool. But yeah, it basically means that they're now part of Xbox. Xbox are now essentially on par with PlayStation when it comes to the amount of studios they've got and the amount of IP they've got. And it's going to be... Personally, I think this is very good for competition. I know a lot of people don't like consolidation in the industry, which I get. I don't really want it either. But Xbox is third place, and by third place by quite a mile, this actually closes the gap considerably, and it'll be good for, hopefully be good for us, the consumers, for competition, because PlayStation have got a bit unchecked this generation, and they've been doing some shitty things, and hopefully now the Xbox are catching up to them. They might actually pull their finger out and stop being so anti-consumer. Fingers crossed. Because I want PlayStation to be good. I want a good PlayStation. I want a good Xbox, and I want a good Nintendo, and I want a really competitive market. I think that'd be awesome for everyone. I personally think. What do you think? Do you think I'm wrong here, or?
Well, I think there was a lot to talk about, and you certainly said a lot about the deal. But I think we've been going on about the deal for quite some time, and admittedly, that we actually seem to um, we actually seem as if we've been discussing this throughout, and people seem to like those discussions. Like
Yeah,
we were going to mention it on this week's podcast, but it has been announced
yeah,
during the last episode, and now we do this special video because this has happened this week, and that
yeah.
coincidentally is actually on the Friday the 13th. So
Yes.
lucky for some,
Spooky.
actually.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned it briefly in the podcast this week that they said the deal was going to close on Friday the 13th, but weren't sure. Obviously, we didn't want to talk about it before it was done, and now it's officially been done. They've gone off the Nasdaq and all that, and they've been updated. I think the money has been changed hands. You know, Phil Spencer came in with the briefcase and opened it up, saying, "Look at all the money. Here you go." And then Bobby Kotick was like, "Yay!" And everyone was happy, and they all signed contracts and stuff. I don't know if that's what really happened, but I'm just imagining it in my head. Also, yeah, Bobby Kotick looks like he might be stepping down January 1st, 2024. Hopefully. I mean, I shouldn't wish for someone to lose their job, but he's going to get paid off very well. And he's he's not got a very good history when it comes to his employees. Let's just put it that way. So, yeah, well, that's the rumor anyway by Bloomberg. And also, he sent emails to his employees saying he'll be there until the end of 2023, but there's no word about 2024 for him. So it looks like he's handing control over to Phil Spencer pretty soon. So that's good. I think that's good news because, as I said, not many people are fans of Bobby Kotick, so I'm glad that he's going to be moving on and we're going to have a fresh start. I mean, that's the biggest advantage about this deal is the fact that hopefully all the horrible stuff we heard about Activision Blizzard before the acquisition with the employees and like sexual harassment and all this horrible stuff going on in the company, all that will hopefully stop. Or, you know, I'm hoping anyway. Maybe I'm being a bit too optimistic, but I'm hoping that they'll change the culture.
Sounds as if you'll be
Fingers
talking
crossed.
about this throughout the whole weekend.
For the rest of my life. This is huge news, isn't it? It's like the biggest acquisition in gaming history. As I said, it feels like we finally closing the gap on PlayStation, which is good for like Xbox gamers. The fact that we're going to hopefully have loads of cool games coming to Game Pass is awesome. No news on when we're getting them though. They said that we're not getting Call of Duty or Diablo 4 this year, according to Activision, but they will be on Game Pass in 2024 probably. So I don't know what that. Do we really get old Call of Duty soon? Do you think?
I really hope so, because one of the first things I felt after this deal is that we're probably likely to receive the past Activision games, and that you're probably thinking like Prototype, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, but I'm more interested to see Crash Bandicoot and Spyro finally coming out on Xbox Game Pass. So if it ever happens, I would absolutely get to check it out, because how the people have been dealing with Crash Bandicoot and Spyro remasters, they've been doing exceptionally well, and it is a great time to like go back to them. But this also means that, well, ironically, is that Crash Bandicoot used to be a PlayStation mascot back in the 90s. Now, it's that Crash Bandicoot is likely to be a Xbox mascot. But now there's people like hawking and saying that, yeah, it's possible that the companies who worked on Crash Bandicoot and Spyro games could be working on Microsoft or Rare franchises like Banjo, Blinks, and even like Conker. So it's possible we might expect the same treatment towards them. But Microsoft is pretty much like a stakeholder, as well as the one who handles on the marketing and organization towards Activision companies. So I don't know if they're likely to not be so involved in their process as before.
I don't know, to be honest. It's going to be interesting. We don't really know what... I don't think it's going to be an overnight change. I don't think literally going to be like overnight, like flip a switch, everything's going to be different. I think this is going to be a gradual thing that's going to happen over the next couple of years. I feel like Bethesda is only just really getting integrated into Xbox now, and they've had them for about, what, year and a half, 2 years? And I feel like they're only really starting to feel like an Xbox brand now. I think it'll be the same with Activision, if not longer, because it's such a big company. I feel like it's going to take a while for them to integrate together and kind of merge, but I think it's exciting for Xbox gamers, exciting for the industry. You know, it'd be different if they were like if Xbox bought Nintendo or Sony, you know, one of their major competitors in the space, but they're buying a publisher that was a bit it was a bit on the downside, so I feel like it's a good thing.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves, because this is still early days, because Microsoft has just purchased Activision, and that is a huge deal, which means I think the Microsoft is going to recoup all the expenditures, that even though they got like huge shares in the moment, and which means it's not long before they start to create another deal, but I think they will probably need to allow some time for them to prepare, research, and even try to strike a deal with Sega, Nintendo, whatever. But I think they need to focus that now they got the deal through, they now have to like work with this aftermath. And I feel that the biggest impact of this deal is not to do with Activision games. They actually bought the King Studios, which means it just means that, like, honestly, like, Candy Crush Saga, Bubble Witch Saga, and all those Saga games, these ones have been extremely popular over the past 1 or 2 decades, and now it's been acquired by Microsoft, which means we could expect to see more involvement with Microsoft in those terms. Also,
Oh yeah.
there's another reason why they want to do this deal. It's not to get Activision or just to be able to uh, pretty much like, how do I put it? Like trying to um, bail out on like Bobby Kotick or any of that Activision stuff there. They
Mm-hmm.
actually wanted to get this deal done so they can like uh, have so that Microsoft would have an extension of their services towards mobile games because they used to
Yes,
try out
that is true.
to deal with the mobile Windows Mobile, try to get their apps out, but now they just can't
Yeah.
really do that. But now they're just looking to get back into the mobile game market, and now they're pushing to have their own store brought over to for
Yes.
third-party phones, which means they may end up having Microsoft products as well as Xbox Game Pass over to say iPhone and Android. And
Yes. So
honestly,
you bring up a
I think this is the biggest thing that they're going to be aiming for instead of having to go for another deal.
I think I totally agree. Yeah, you bring. I was going to say you mentioned like the thing that no one seems to be mentioning. It seems that everyone's just like Call of Duty this, Game Pass this, blah blah blah. The biggest part of this is the mobile market. You are 100% correct on that. So legal legislation recently has made it so Android and iPhone will have to start putting secondary shop digital storefronts on their phones, so they're not a monopoly of their own storefronts. So Xbox want to be that one of the newest storefronts on the store on these phones. So the next iPhone, or like in like it may take a couple of years, but the next iPhones in like the 3 or 4 years from now, Android phones 3 or 4 years from now will have an Apple store and then have a Microsoft store, which might be an Xbox store or it might be a Microsoft. I don't know, but they're going to be selling their games separately and like having a competitive marketplace, which is again good for consumers. That you can have like the same app on two different storefronts, and you have to compete for prices and stuff, which would be good. Be good for consumers. Competition is great for consumers, so I think that would be awesome. Personally, I'm hoping that works, and I hope that happens.
Well,
I'm not a mobile gamer at all, but I think this would be a nice little thing for if you want to get Candy Crush, you have an option of where you get it from, which shop you download it from. I know essentially it'll be exactly the same, but it's interesting. It's an interesting little caveat for sure.
there's some positives there that I like. Given I got apps in the Google Play Store as well as the apps on the Apple Store, having them both on my
Yeah.
phone is quite a boon, and gives me more choice whether I would go with Android or iPhone. But I think I got on well with the iPhone, but I would need a lot of convincing to get back to Android because I had an Android phone, but I'm not too impressed with it. But
All right.
the good thing about this is that Microsoft will not only bring their store over to phones without having to have their own phones like the Nokia, for instance. Um, not only it just means it brings over the Game Pass that not only you can like
Yeah.
get games that you can download for the Xbox Game Pass without having to deal with Apple Arcade, but also
Yeah.
you it's going to mean it will be a lot easier to stream games using the Xbox Game Pass, where at the moment you have to use the internet browser to stream them or some other
Yes.
difficult way of dealing with it. But
Mm-hmm.
with this whole Microsoft Store thing, it makes it more possible that they would have their own apps on the iPad, iPhone, which means you can stream games on it. And I think that was a huge deal breaker. And I think the more I learn about this part of the Activision Blizzard deal, the more
Yeah.
that it's going to be a huge benefit for mobile users and people who are on Xbox. Like,
Yeah.
compared to like if you were to compare this with the Activision games, you'll pretty much like get all the treats there, and you may not expect a lot of the Xbox exclusives on Activision. But when it comes to the mobile gaming market, that's going to promote a bigger change compared to Activision.
I think so. I agree with everything you just said. Yeah, but it's interesting because this is a big just expansion to Xbox in general. Because obviously, as you said, the console wise, you're gonna have all Call of Duties on Game Pass, Diablos, Overwatch, maybe even World of Warcraft getting a port to Xbox would be pretty cool. and then you've also expanded into the mobile business. This is just a big expansion for Xbox in general. They've essentially doubled the size of their company overnight, which is kind of crazy. It's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a very interesting couple of years. I can't wait to see what they're like. I was just thinking about this earlier. As soon as I saw that trailer for the Activision and Xbox combining, I could not wait for the E3 June showcase now. What games are coming to Xbox over the next couple of years? They got, like, it was already really good last year. Can you imagine that now, plus Activision games on top of it? It's going to be crazy, the amount of games that we're going to be getting on Game Pass. It's going to be so good. I'm really looking forward to the future. I think the future is bright for if you're an Xbox owner. I think this is hopefully going to be bringing, as I've said multiple times already in this video, bring competition to PlayStation, which they sorely need because they do seem a bit complacent, which is nice. And yeah, I just think it's great. I think it's great personally. Don't know if I want to see him buy anything else, but we'll see. I keep saying Sega. I think if we're going to say who we think they're going to buy next, that my money is still on Sega, but I don't know. What do you think? Do you think they're going to be? Who do you think their next move would be? Because they did say they're not done yet, but I'm hoping it's not anyone too big.
I think, since you said this in a more generalized, as a more generalized question, I did say they're going to be focusing on like trying to use this deal to get all this work done, like they deal with the mobile market, and according to pure Xbox, that Xbox has began their work on bringing Activision Blizzard titles to Game Pass, so you'll be expecting more of those games coming out before they can start to deal with the deals. So
yeah, it's true.
And also, they're going to be making management changes because Bobby Kotick is set to leave the company in early 24. But there's also the possibility that from Activision, they say that Xbox can take games in the library and we make them post-acquisition. So if I bring this article up, it would seem that there's not much going on, but I think we may end up seeing remasters or remakes of classic games, whether it's on Xbox library or Activision. So there's a little bit of hope for Banjo-Kazooie to come back, whether it's a remake or even like a sequel to the franchise. But right now, those are the very areas that Microsoft will be focusing on before they start to create more deals. Because I don't think they would be actively creating more deals to create a huge monopoly. Because I think when it comes to deal with acquisitions there, they do tend to do this with a reason of doing it. Like Bethesda games which they bought over, Bethesda has a great partnership with Microsoft and they find Xbox platforms to be great, as is the case with Skyrim. Performs well on like Xbox and PC, not so much on the PlayStation 3, which tells that they prefer working on Xbox than dealing with certainly PlayStation platforms. And with this deal, it's just like they can like have more options. Whereas with the Activision Blizzard deal, they're doing this for the mobile market, and King Games is owned by Activision Blizzard, which kind of looks like they're killing two birds with one stone. So when it comes to any other deal, like, I suppose this is what you're most interested in. Buying Sega means that you're having a chunk of a Japanese market. Buying Nintendo means they have an extra reach in the handheld market. But this would also be like a humongous impact of this whole thing. And they may even get Ubisoft if that means to like cover all the bases up with the cloud streaming rights.
That'd be interesting. Yeah, that'd be interesting. They sold the rights to Ubisoft just to buy Ubisoft. That wouldn't surprise me. No, yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you just said. So I'm thinking Sega makes the most sense. Get into the Japanese market. I think anyone would love to have a Nintendo, right? I mean, we've said this before. It's like, if you like a basketball team is like getting LeBron James, or like a football team is like getting Messi or Ronaldo in it. It's like it's the top pick. Nintendo is the best like developer in the world, or one of the best developers in the world. Of course, you'd want it in Xbox, but they're doing so well with the Switch, and basically I can only see this happening is if the Switch 2 is a massive flop, and then the Switch 3 is also a massive flop, and they need to get out of the console market. Then I can see Xbox buying them, but I can't see them buying them while they're still as dominant as they are at the moment. So I think this is I don't think there's no chance they buy Nintendo. At least I don't think so. But then I would have said that about Activision before this deal, so who knows. But yeah, my money would be on Sega is the next one. As you said, it makes sense because they don't have like Japanese games or Japanese developers, and they don't really have a foothold in the Japanese market, and that is something they desperately want. And that does seem like a big gaping hole in their like catalog, which they can fill with Sega. And also they'd have a massive back catalog of games to add to Game Pass as well, like all the old Sonic games, all like Alex Kidd and what's it called, Alter Beast. I'm trying to think of really old Sega games. Golden Axe, like all that stuff on Game Pass would be amazing. It'd be really good for the service. So yeah, I personally Sega makes no sense to me, but I think as you said, I think they're going to try and maybe calm down for a bit and maybe not do another acquisition until maybe next year. I think. I don't think they're going to do it straight away because this has been an ordeal and a half. And I kind of don't want them to buy a big publisher because I don't want to go through another 21 months of this shit again. I really don't. Please don't do that. I don't want to go through this again. Just buy some smaller ones and avoid all this crap. I don't want to deal with this ever again. This is such a nightmare. It's been horrible. It's just dragged it out for so long. At least we won't have Jim Ryan crying about it this time if it happens again.
Well, it's going to retire from Sony anyway, so
that's what I'm saying. He'll be gone. Yeah, that's what he's gave up crying. So we won't have him crying about it this time if we buy someone else. But yeah, because I think Sega is about the right size. I think if it was any bigger than Sega, they'd have to go through loads more. But I think it's like they're smaller than Activision, which I'm surprised by because you think Sega is such a big company. They're not actually as big as you would think. Anyway, that's off topic. This is an interesting. I think this is good for Xbox. We're getting Activision. I feel like I'm repeating myself now. Is there anything else you wanted to really mention about Activision before we wrap up?
Let's wrap up because I think I said a lot of like good things, but I don't want to end up rambling about other things that makes no sense.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, this is big news. It is finally done. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments, or let us know in the comments below. Really appreciate everyone who's here. Yeah, just stay tuned for Space Skyrim coming up next week with more spoiler casts. If you didn't catch the news in the last week's episode, we're going to be putting the podcast on hiatus, but we will be putting more content like this, what we just put, like a discussions, more smaller videos up on hopefully more frequent basis. So I hope you guys are okay with that. Let us know what you guys think in the comments below. Are you excited for Activision to join Xbox? Are you scared of consolidation in the business? And are you against this? Let us know in the comments below. I'd love to hear both sides of the argument. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments. Thank you guys for watching, and until next time, too sweet. Later, guys. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.